hapo daily Insta, Snapchat, alika makaitisha juu kuna time nilidate insisters wanafanana lakini mimi sidaiti flow ukiwa mavitu ni ngumu kuwatofautisha wote wa Somali Halima na Hadija.
So if we can dive right into our program for today, we have a presentation from Mr. Joseph Odwor.
So Leaders Freedom Champion is a community-led based organization which is anchored on dignity, equality, justice, and active citizenry for its people with its people. Takes pride in meaningful involvement for good governance, just leadership, and accountability. Take into consideration the inclusion of youths, women, and people with special needs. We have a motto which is ability is a tool, and our mission is to take charge of leadership by having programs that transform for our productive engagement and development. On one of the projects called Democracy and Youth, it's under our thematic area, just leadership, good governance, and accountability. We have two thematic areas, that is just leadership, good governance, and accountability, and our second thematic area is on SDG implementation and the new urban agenda. The objective of this project were four. One is to ignite youth positive attitudinal change towards democratic process. Second one, understand the perception of youth on democratic governance process in the country. Third one, build proactive and responsive advocates of democracy. Fourth one, kickstart meaningful involvement of youths in democratic governance and pledge commitment to it. So this fourth one, we are doing a campaign under this democracy and youth participation, and it's called I Pledge. And we have managed recruiting 200 brand ambassadors in Kisumu County with a target of 2,000, and also to upscale it to the nationwide. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope we will vote our just leaders without being bribed, but with the dignity and integrity.
So if we can carry on to the next presenter, Madam Gladys Njeri.
I am here courtesy of a program called Top 35 Under 35. We've realized so many young people are taking part in advocacy, yeah? So due to this, Youth Agenda came up with a program called Top 35 Under 35, and it seeks to provide young people with an equal platform to showcase their creativity and innovation on national platforms. So Top 35 Under 35, it identifies, recognizes, and awards young people, and the awards take place during the International Youth Day, which is on August 12th. So we're looking at exemplary youth innovations from local young people. With this innovative initiative that they are running, it must have been running for 6 months. So these are some of the success stories. We've had some of the awardees appointed in 2023. Yeah. And also, what have the awardees done beyond the awards? We tend to follow up with every awardee, what they are doing and how they are faring on beyond there, and are they accessing these national platforms that we envision them to get to. So it involves connecting them with incubation hubs, which are industry specific, and major investment opportunities and pathways to bring their creations to market.
But there's a lot that is happening in our space, especially the grassroots. Even here in Nairobi, we have the slum areas or the popular settlement areas where we have different people with ability and talents, but some of them are not able to get that opportunity to apply because either they didn't receive the information.
I tend to think the people in the informal settlements and in the rural areas have a better chance of having innovative initiatives compared to people in urban areas, and that's why compared to the applications we receive, these people are the most. And then how do we access them? Like right now when the call is going on, there's someone, our previous awardee who is from that area. That person is still spreading the gospel to those people.
Thank you, Gladys, for that presentation.
I'm going to present to you iVoting. iVoting in the name itself means intelligent voting. My case study revolves around Machakos University iVoting system implementation for student election. I've already done demos. I've already trained the university leadership, the electoral commission, and all that. We've partnered with Machakos University for the last 7 years right now. iVoting is a secure online voting platform accessible via web and USSD, promoting inclusive participation for youth, women, people with disabilities, while encouraging civic engagement and electoral reforms. Appreciation of democracy, practice, and inclusive participation with the use of technology. No registered cases of fraud and or corruption within the electoral process. Positive approach towards civic technology, and of course promote free, fair election through a secure, accessible, easy to use online voting system. Over the 7 years, as you can see from the first graph, the voter turnout 2018, the year 2018 was very minimal from what we have today, because the first time people will say, not necessarily they would use their phones where they were. They could just go to school and vote directly using the school computers.
We've been having a very big problem as people with visual impairment. How am I going to be guaranteed that the vote that I'm going to cast in the ballot or through the voting is going to count? I mean, it cannot be manipulated in any way.
And what about if now there's an unauthorized or attack onto your system and it has failed? What, so now does the voting ends? Does it stop?
For the moment, since it's still on the pilot, or I would say it's highly secured, and we've not had any cases of infiltration. For people with disabilities, we have an accessibility feature that helps you talk to you, right?
A big clap for Titers.
So we'll have the next presentation from Brian Muchema.
It's important to recognize that climate change is a justice issue, because I would like us to focus on social inequality as the umbrella to climate injustice. Those that like to do the math or of calculating carbon footprint, etc., are accusing us of over-consuming. If one is a polluter and they are asked to pay, what exactly should they pay for? I was recently reading that in as much as we try and to rush and plant trees, those trees in areas that are prone to gases such as methane, they absorb the methane and a heat wave will come. And methane is, is volatile. They just catch fire, and then you have fires. So the damage is already done.
A barrier to climate justice is social inequality. This is exacerbated by issues of market forces and political interests that are lay more on the laissez-faire way of doing things. Poverty, is a barrier. I mean, the talk of climate justice cannot be heard in empty stomachs or in vulnerable conditions.
From Center for Multi-Party Democracy. And the second one will be Diana Kasakal from Speak Up Africa.
How many are with us? That's nice. At least I know that we are continuing in one voice.
We are a political parties membership-based organization. So mainly what that means is we work with political parties that have representation in both the National Assembly and the county assemblies. Some of our programs entail youth development. And for the youth development programs, we have policy dialogue forums that we also run. Our biggest dialogue platform, of course, I know most people here are aware of, the People Dialogue Festival. and with regards to also ensuring that the youth are stepping up to these spaces to participate, and not just to participate, but to also contribute to discussions or conversations that are of public interest.
Compared to our parents, we are the generation that's mostly on the digital spaces. But then also compared to our parents, we're the generation that's barely noticing changes politically. Biggest problems, and also the fact that the elder generation hasn't created a space for the younger generation to take in this stuff, because you undermine them, they get undermined, they feel like, okay, our perception or our ideas they don't hold any water. So then it makes the younger generation be like, I'll deal with it when I get older.
We have seen people being arrested just because of posting a tweet. What alternatives can young people like I use? What are some of these remedies that I, as a young person, can seek when I am under such threats?
So I can say the social media space in itself, we can actually use that as one of the tools that we can leverage on to ensure that we are reaching out as the young people for justice.
But I think for Kenyans, I think it works, because it helps us call out our leaders without being traced outrightly.
We know the theme, you can't have rule of law, you can't have democracy without equality.
Our society for the longest time has really favored, the male gender over the women, in as much as we've done a whole lot to make sure that, we're achieving the 2/3 gender principle, which came up in 2010, I think, which we started implementing in 2010. A lot still needs to be done in that space, obviously.
My presentation is about digital tools in democracy, making tech future-proof, and aligning tech with democracy. There is the importance of digital tools in democracy. Number one is enhancing transparency and public scrutiny. Then we have the trends in digital democracy. We have AI integration in decision-making. All of us knows about things like ChatGPT. These are language models. Language, they are used to generate through training, to generate information. We have blockchain. This is a kind of a database where you can store information about probably voters, and they're able to vote without challenges. Then we have AR and VR in digital democracy. It helps, as I had said earlier, it helps in decision making because of data-driven insights.
And in the video, I could hear some sound. And like I told you, I come from the areas of the forest. The voices look like those of a monkey, a monkey kid, or a monkey baby. So I could not understand the video, what it is actually demonstrating or communicating. I simply mean the video is not disability friendly. What are you doing to ensure that these things that you're doing, like those kinds, you communicate to us also, and you also communicate to the deaf, maybe through sign language? Yeah, thank you.
About issue of disability or people who are enabled differently. That is why I prefer to call them, because they have their own abilities. We have what you call access guidelines worldwide. They provide guidelines on how probably to ensure that your websites, your design is oriented towards people that may not be able to access in the normal way. So through those guidelines, for example, in our company, I understand there was a challenge here with the video because I access it via YouTube. But we have come up with strategies of ensuring, maybe if you go to our website, there's a screen that reads for you. It's a kind of your reading, it's a screen reader. So you can click using your hands. If it's a touch screen, then you can easily hear from it what it is going on in that website.
While using technology to enhance civic engagement, how do you reach the rural communities? In Kenya, for instance, 70% of the population is in the rural, and many may not have access to smartphones. And even if they do, the cost of access to data that can enhance digital participation. So does digital participation then can lead to a situation where you leave those who are not in the digitally connected behind?
Things like digital divide, I believe the government is trying. And I will talk from a technological perspective. We have anyone who knows Starlink? Starlink? Great. Starlink is a company from X. It's they are siblings. They are corporate siblings with X, their previous Twitter. It's a company owned by Elon Musk. It's enabling people even in rural areas to access the internet. Where the C cables, I believe most of you understood that there was an internet issues because we had internet C cables zilikuwa zimekatika. But with Starlink, now you are able to access it with cloud. Although it's in beginning stages, so it's a bit expensive. For example, a Starlink package, the minimum would be 6,500. I understand that is a challenge, but there is what we call the cloud. Through Starlink, you're able to access the internet even in the rural areas. So
we can ensure that that the voices of young people are heard, perspectives are valued, and Africa's now youth leaders are actively engaged in shaping in policies that drive the inclusive and sustainable development. Our third call to action is in supporting Africans' youth freedom of expression. We respectfully urge you to prioritize the support of and protection of African youth freedom of expression from a bustling classroom to a bustling streets. Let Africans youth speak their minds by safeguarding their rights to express their thoughts, ideas, and concerns